The Route du Rhum is magical. It's a legendary race. It happens every 4 years. Everyone arrives with their best sails, their best boat, to get their best result. You have to be there.
C'est la seule course au monde qui regroupe.
It's the only race in the world that brings together so many different boats in a transatlantic race.
Pour partir faire une transatlantique, donc c'est un événement exceptionnel.
A Route du Rhum with 138 boats is unheard of. It doesn't exist anywhere else, and foreigners are very envious of this race.
I expected it to be big, but it's bigger than I thought.
It's a childhood dream that's become a reality. It's a great thing to experience.
It's the end of October and Saint-Malo is decked out in all its finery to welcome the world's ocean racers, as it has done every 4 years since 1978. In a final twist of fate, Canadian Mike Birch, the first ever winner of the Route du Rhum 44 years ago, passed away at the age of 90, just as his sporting heirs are meeting up in Saint-Malo. 138 competitors are about to set off on the legendary transatlantic race, the Route du Rhum.
Je déclare ce village de la Route du Rhum 2022 ouvert.
Destination Guadeloupe. With the start set for Sunday the 6th of November, the sailors have 15 days in which to make final preparations and meet fans who've come from far and wide.
The public can go and see the boats, meet the sailors in the docks and visit the large race village. In fact, it's the biggest we've ever built. There'll be huge numbers visiting. It's free for everyone to come and experience the atmosphere live from start to finish.
Every sponsor has organised educational activities and entertainment to help fans discover more about the sailors.
Voilà, on a la orange qui est un petit peu loin, qui peut revenir, se rapprocher.
In total, there are 70,000 square metres of race village built around 3 kilometres of quayside.
I think it's the most beautiful Route du Rhum village I've ever seen. To have a stage like this, 138 boats, we've never seen anything like it. It's a village within the village of Saint-Malo. It's grandiose, really, really good.
Guadeloupe, where the race finishes, is also a focus, thanks to its cuisine, its music and its crafts.
It's a great showcase for the Guadeloupe region when you have a race like the Route du Rhum. 17 nations are involved, including China, where millions of people will get to see Guadeloupe. It's a pleasure for us. We're so proud.
7 skippers from Guadeloupe will be on the start of this edition. For the first time in the history of the race, all the competing boats are moored inside the port, at the foot of the ramparts of this maritime city that's been transformed into a theatre of dreams. Access to the port of Saint-Malo is through a narrow lock, and it took all the ingenuity of the port services and sailors to get the 23-metre all teams through. The small margins of error mean it takes a lot of skill and concentration to avoid disaster. Boat parades close in to shore will allow spectators to appreciate the challenges that await the solo sailors. And every time a skipper passes through the lock, it'll feel like they're entering a football stadium.
Le skipper de solidaire en peloton, Arsène Thibault, Rochelle Camus.
Ben voilà, plus fort que ça pour Manuel Cousin.
Sur le bateau s'appelle Fille, l'entraîneur du Rhum.
The 138 competitors are divided into 6 classes of boat. The biggest and fastest are the all-team trimarans, measuring 32 metres by 23. The race winner is expected to come from this fleet of 8 boats. And what a lineup! Defending champion Francis Joyon, Arthur Levaillant, Yvan Leblevec, Thomas Coville, Francois Gabard and Amel Leclerc could all do it, but Charles Caudrelier is the outstanding favourite.
I'm setting off in the best conditions to win. There are some formidable competitors, so I'll be under pressure like everyone else. But I'm not interested in being favourite. I just want to be the winner.
The Ocean 50 class also numbers 8. They're extremely fast and manoeuvrable 15-metre trimarans. The skippers have all made a lot of progress this year, and it's difficult to pick a class winner. Whoever it is will need to show extraordinary commitment and focus, whatever the conditions.
It's going to be close. Anyone can win this race in our class. All 8 boats can win. So the road is going to be long. It'll be both a sprint and an endurance race. You have to keep the boat together and not break it. You have to place the cursor in just the right place. It's not going to be easy.
The Rhum Multi is a class for vintage boats, or those that don't fit into the other classes. The legendary trimaran Pierre Première that won the race back in 1990 with Florence Artaud is one of the favourites. Skippered this time by Philippe Poupon and renamed Flo, it should be the fastest in the class. This fleet is made up of experienced amateurs and legendary names who've come back to race on catamarans a little more manageable than the ones they raced in their youth. Names like Roland Jourdain, Marc Guillemot and Halvar Mabir will make for a terrific race. Charlie Capel makes his 6th start on Acapella, the sister ship of Olympus, the first winning boat back in 1978.
The course is marvellous. It really is the race you shouldn't miss if you're passionate enough and have a boat that's good enough for such an event. Many dream of it. I'm lucky enough to be part of it.
38 IMOCA monohulls will line up on the start. Favourites in this class of 18-metre ocean racing boats are Charlie Dalin, who's won every race this season, and Thomas Rouillard, who won the last transatlantic. For the 2 great rivals, it'll be the final race in their current boats.
It's a real sprint. Certainly the level of play and intensity in the races has taken a big step up this year. Even more so than last year, and even in comparison to the 2020 Vendée Globe. There are teams and sailors now who no longer hesitate to push the limits. And I'm fine with that. See you in Guadeloupe.
Also in the pack are a number of experienced sailors who are in newer boats and still learning how to sail them most efficiently. Louis Burton, Jeremy Bayou, Kevin Escoffier, Justine Métro, Maxime Sorel, Benjamin Dutroux, Boris Herman and Paul Maillat will want to get the best out of their new toys. Watch out also for a race within the race as the older non-foiling IMOCAs do battle, facing off are Benjamin Ferret, Girek Soudé, Louis Duc and Antoine Cornic. The biggest class competing is the Class 40. Made up of both professional and amateur sailors. These 12-metre boats have undergone a design revolution in recent years with the new scow bow, allowing them to surf above the water and therefore sail faster. There are many contenders for victory in this highly competitive class. Johan Richomme, Axel Train, Xavier Macaire, Ian Lipinski are all in the hunt for a good finish, but in terms of results, Corentin Duguay has dominated this season.
J'ai pas fait le grand chelem, mais...
I didn't make the Grand Slam, but I'm not far off. My best, worst results are second place, so yeah, for the moment, it's going according to plan.
J'ai envie de te dire comme sur le
I did say I was coming here to win, so now I've got to finish the job.
Faut finir le job, quoi.
Finally, the monohulls that don't fit into these two classes are grouped together in the Rhum monohulls category. The fastest sailor here should be Jean-Pierre Dick on a modern steed of his own design. Legendary yachts to watch out for include Critter 8 and Eric Taberley's Penduic 3, driven by Arnaud Pennereau. Also making a comeback is Catherine Chabot, now a European parliamentarian and the first woman to race around the world.
Mon bateau dans la flotte des Rhum mono, il peut faire un podium.
My boat in the Rum Monos fleet can make the podium, so I'm very excited about who's favourite to win.
Celui qui va être le favori.
Jean-Pierre Dick's boat is the fastest and likely to get ahead.
Je vais essayer d'en mettre un maximum derrière, mais
But my aim is just to arrive.
l'objectif c'est déjà d'arriver. C'est un privilège de régater contre
It's a privilege to race against Penduic 3, against Creta and the rest of the fleet.
Et puis contre le reste de la flotte, je trouve que
It's a nice fleet.
voilà, il y a une jolie flotte.
The Route du Rhum course hasn't changed since 1978. A November departure from Saint-Malo with a start line off the Point of Gruam. A mandatory first tack around the CIC buoy opposite Cap Frehel, before exiting the English Channel on the first night. Then it's the Bay of Biscay, making sure not to be trapped by the Azores high, before hooking onto the trade winds and heading to the West Indies. There's a lap of Guadeloupe, leaving the Basse-Terre buoy to starboard before finishing in Pointe-à-Pitre. It's a total of 3,542 nautical miles, that's almost 7,000 kilometres. With 72 hours to go before the start, the sailors are becoming increasingly worried. The weather forecasts are alarming. The winds and sea state have become violent as the remnants of Hurricane Martin sweep across the North Atlantic. Exiting the English Channel looks increasingly dangerous. Race management have little choice but to postpone the start, a decision applauded by the skippers.
I've decided to postpone the start from Sunday to Tuesday evening or Wednesday.
There's now some time to relax before the new start is set for Wednesday the 9th of November at 2:15 p.m. Time to study the weather files again because it's clear that the 2022 race is going to be tough. Departure day and time for the 138 competitors to set off.
Allez, on y va.
In a 15 to 20 knot west-southwesterly wind. The classes are divided into their own sections of the 6-kilometre start line.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, départ!
They launch themselves on a blistering first leg to Cape Frehel.
We're off. We're off.
Despite the headwinds, the big trimarans quickly dominate the fleet. The fastest boats are expected to complete the 3,500-mile journey in about a week. The first tack is in order to reach the CIC buoy anchored 30 kilometres from the foot of the crowded cape. Charles Caudrelier passes that first mark in the lead. Armand Leclerc, Francois Gabard and Thomas Coville are following as best they can. After an hour of sailing, the Edmund de Rothschild trimaran is already 8 minutes ahead.
Premier coucher de soleil, départ pas simple.
First sunset, not an easy start, but we're hanging on. Full steam ahead now to exit the channel.
La sortie de Manche.
The sailors are kept busy through the night. Shifts in current, increasingly heavy seas, and exhausting manoeuvres to get around Brittany and into the North Atlantic meant little rest. Throughout, Charles Caudrelier held the lead.
Et voilà, première nuit. Bienvenue sur la route.
There's a lot of road ahead, and it's complicated.
Bien attaqué. La sortie de Manche a été vraiment dure.
I'm not sure yet where I'll round exactly.
Compliqué devant, on sait pas encore exactement où on va passer.
There are two options developing, but it's a difficult decision.
Et c'est pas simple.
Unlike the rest of the fleet, the first all teams choose to go further west after passing Ushant, as they search for stronger winds and flirt with the oncoming low-pressure system. Further back, Francis Joyon, Arthur Levaillant and Yves Le Blevec head straight to the Bay of Biscay in search of more manageable seas. On Thursday afternoon, after a steady 24 hours of racing, Armand Leclerc, who was in the leading 3 on the descent to the Bay of Biscay, diverts to Lorient with damage to his boat. A slick operation kicked in with a Banque Populaire team working through the night to get the sailor going again.
In a few seconds, everything stopped. I heard a big crack. I saw the pieces fly behind the boat and realized it was the dagger board. It broke into several pieces, hit, and damaged the hull. 1 or 2 of the holes go all the way through the hull.
Just 36 hours later, the boat set off again with a new dagger board and a repaired hull. The chance of victory gone, but Leclerc still had a race to finish. At the back of the fleet, Romain Pilar was also restarting from Roscoff after repairs to his damaged bow after hitting a metal buoy. I'm out of the Bay of Biscay at last and heading towards the Azores at a good pace, so all's well. We're on the trade winds route here on Actual, but we won't catch them straight away. We'll need some transitions first. At the front, the Battle of the Titans has become even more intense in the Atlantic between Caudrelier, Gabard and Coville. We're roughly between Portugal and the Azores, and although there's been a great blue sky, you can see from the images outside that it's getting overcast. The sea is still up, even though the camera doesn't really show it. We're entering a windless zone, and I'm going to try and cross it as quickly as possible. Still heading upwind in heavy seas, and after 2 tough fronts, passing the Azores requires a lot of manoeuvres. The tacking battle is intense, as the skippers use every breath of breeze in this transition zone. Gabard claws back to within 30 miles of the leader, but Caudrelier holds on, although it costs him huge amounts of energy and risk-taking.
The last 24 hours have been epic. The fight with Francois in strong winds took us beyond the usual limits we set ourselves. We overtasked in the end. It was very difficult to reduce the sail, and it was exhausting because I haven't been able to sleep for a very long time. Luckily, I slept well at the start. Anyway, it's a long road, and there are still a lot of traps to avoid. Francois sails very well, and his boat's fast.
At the edge of the High, the sailors could finally raise their large head sails and pick up speed. Caudrelier escapes and consolidates his lead. The breakaway is now complete, with the approach to Guadeloupe still to come. Thomas Coville, who was in third place, tried a number of route options, but was never able to catch up with the leading duo.
The trade winds. It took me a while to catch them, but we're there now. I struggled to fly in the very light airs. Now up to the Tête à l'Anglaise and along the island, there's still a lot of things to do. It's a bit of a speed race for 24 hours in this famous trade wind. It's all good.
More than 600 miles back, the race continues with Yves Le Blevec fourth, ahead of Francis Joyon and Arthur Le Vaillant.
It's the beginning of the trade winds. It feels great. Time to calm things down.
Charles Caudrelier took advantage of the last few hours to take a few restorative naps before embarking on the tricky circumnavigation of Guadeloupe. When he passed the Tête à l'Anglaise mark to the north of the island, Caudrelier had built an insurmountable 80-mile lead over Francois Gabard. The last few tacks would be a formality for Edmond de Rothschild and her skipper. And so Charles Caudrelier, in his first Route du Rhum, not only wins the race, but sets a new course record, completing the distance in 6 days and 19 hours.
I wanted to win this race for so many reasons. For the history of this team, this boat, my personal history. I've been dreaming about it since I was a kid, but never had the chance, which was frustrating. And 3 years ago, I was offered this dream opportunity. I have so many people to thank for supporting me. I often say it's a Formula One team and I'm the driver on Sundays, but all the rest of the year, there are people who work so that I have a perfect boat. I didn't have a single problem out there. It was an almost perfect race.
Il est là, celui qui a remporté cette Route du Rhum.
Four hours later, and for the second consecutive time, Francois Gabard takes second place.
C'était super chouette de pouvoir faire ça
It was great to be able to do this with Thomas and Charles. We had a good fight. Sure, the aim is to finish first, but sometimes second is also a small victory.
Et parfois les deuxièmes places ont aussi des...
It's not a win, of course, but like 4 years ago, it's a race I'm proud of.
Une course dont je suis fier.
Thomas Coville completed the podium 10 hours after Caudrelier's finish.
I want to congratulate Charles. Well done. It's a great win. And a great team. I feel privileged to have had the chance to do this race against these 2 other athletes. I really had a blast.
At the age of 66, Francis Joyon finishes his 8th Route du Rhum in 4th place, helming a boat that's won the race 3 times and coming in as winner of the non-foilers. Yves Le Blevec on Actual takes 5th. So, on Thursday, the 17th of November, 112 boats are still at sea. The regatta continues. The Ocean 50, IMOCA, Class 40, Rum Monos and Multis still engaged in exciting races. The Route du Rhum 2022 continues.